Hey guys, thanks for joining me this week on For All Things Lexington. It's the only show dedicated to Lexington, South Carolina. Here, you'll hear me talk to people, groups, bands, and organizations about where to go, what to do, and who's who in and all around our beautiful Lake Murray. I'm your host, Angela Barrett, and this is For All Things Lexington. Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. Today I have Gloria and Janet, who are two gals and a fort. Thanks for coming, girls.
That's it.
So tell me, what is two gals and a fort?
I'll let you answer that, Gloria.
2004, we had this brainstorm in 2014. Janet was on one of her trips out of town. We went to Seattle, and I went with her, and she always would plan a food tour. I had never been on a food tour, but it's a fun way to experience the city, try different restaurants, so you can decide where you want to go back later. So she hooked us up with the greatest little tour guide, and we had a great time. And at the end of the tour, he said, "You gals are an awful lot of fun. You could do this." And so we decided on the way back, on the long trip back.
I would say it was a long plane flight home from Seattle.
Long plane flight. And we started talking about it, and we thought, well, that's fun. And so we're both meeting planners for many, many years with nonprofit associations, and that's what we do. We organize events, and this was right up our alley. So that was how we kind of planted the seed. But I'm going to hand it off to you, so I'm not doing all the talking, but we did go first to the Columbia Convention Center.
No, we went to Blue Marlin.
Blue Marlin first.
We went to Blue Marlin first to see what they thought about it, because we thought the Vista was the place to start.
Right.
And we went and had lunch with Dorothy team, and she was like, "Oh my God, that's just a great idea." So once we knew they were good with okay, the restaurants are going to be on board, we went to Columbia Convention and Visitors Bureau and met with them, and they were like, "Oh, we need that so much," because when they bring groups into Columbia, and if they wanted to do something like this, the people at the Convention and Visitors Bureau had to set it up for them.
Sure.
So they were like, we would much rather give them a card and say, "Contact two gals and a fort." So they went with us. We went around. That was with that meeting when we decided to do it was in November of 2013. And we didn't do our first food tour until August of 2014. But during that whole time, the gals with the CBB went around with us to all the restaurants. We met all the managers, talked to them about what we wanted to do. Someone would say, "Y'all want us to give you free food?" And I said, No, we don't want free food. But we want a good price on some food to bring people in to experience your restaurant. But that's kind of how we got started, and been going gangbusters ever since. And 2014. In 2016,
Yep.
I'm a Newberry College graduate, and I'm still involved with the Newberry College Letterman's Club. And because of the Opera House, Newberry has lots of fine dining restaurants. So I said, I think we really ought to go to Newberry and see about doing food tours in Newberry. So a gal, Meg Muir, who I went to college with, has moved back to Newberry. So she knew everybody and took us around, and we met everybody in Newberry. So in 2016, we started food tours in Newberry. And then in 2018, Capital City Lake Murray Country contacted us, and they were getting a television show called Anglers and Appetites to do a feature on Lake Murray, and they wanted to expand it to all of the restaurants in Lexington, and got in touch with us and asked if we could put together a mini food tour in Lexington. So in 2018, that's how we got started in Lexington.
I was going to ask you how we ended up last, but you just explained.
Well, and I lived in Lexington for 18 years. In fact, our P.O. box is still over here.
Yeah.
We moved over to Irmo to the lake in 2015, but, Lexington's kind of home.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did y'all come up with the name?
Oh, that was her daughter.
We brainstormed all kinds of ideas, and my daughter at the time, she's very creative. She's more the artsy And so she came up with that name, and we just thought it had a great ring to it. We also, after deciding on it, thought it was probably wise that we did, because we didn't want to tie just Columbia to it or just Newberry or whatever. And so now we can do tours everywhere. So, I mean, the business certainly can expand anywhere with our name. But it was my daughter.
Yeah, good.
She's
Well, I
looking for
like it.
royalties, but she has not gotten
Not getting any royalties.
Now, speaking of the CCLMC, that's a mouthful. You guys were actually the recipients of the Partner of the Year.
We were,
correct?
and I think that was in 2016.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And then the Town and Country also rated you guys as number 3 as the best things to do in South Carolina. How cool is that?
That's
very
very cool.
cool.
Yeah.
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 We didn't even expect that.
Yeah, that was kind of a nice
Yeah,
surprise.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you're right. When we go to, if you're going to be in a place for a while, visiting, and we really don't know the place, or where to eat, I think the food tour is, and a lot, like you guys, a lot of times you get to learn a little bit of history on
Yes.
those tours
Yeah.
as well, and experience the different restaurants and decide, well, hey, we'll come back to this one, at some point.
Well, and we have partnered with who we consider to be the historical experts in all these cities. We partnered with Historic Columbia to do the Vista. When we went to Newberry, Meg worked with us for a while, but the Newberry Museum opened after we started our food tours, and so now their executive director does the history on our food tours.
Now, is that with every tour or just some?
Every.
Every tour. Yeah.
It's a component. We walk around. We have about a 10 or 15 minute little history talk to start. And then we go and have a tasting at a restaurant. And then after we finish, that's about 15 minutes. And then we go out, walk to the next restaurant, and somewhere along the way, we stop and have a little history lesson, or I shouldn't say lesson, a history
Stories. It's historical stories.
Right. Yeah, well, I know
People love-
JR is doing this.
he's-
interview.
he's a
and him
wonderful
and
storyteller.
Lex and JR. We met JR
Yeah.
when we were doing
Lexi,
Anglers and Appetites TV show. So, and he's been great.
Yeah. I don't know how he remembers all that, but
I don't either.
now, how did you two meet?
Oh, gosh. Well, we're both been with nonprofit associations. And I was actually with the South Carolina Manufacturers Alliance for 43 years. And I was the meeting and event planner, VP of that, and loved it. Just loved doing conventions and trade shows and that kind of stuff. And Janet owns our meeting management company, who has clients that she handles their meetings and books and whatever. So we would go to to the South Carolina and national conventions of associations. And that's how we met
Right.
there. And we've been friends ever since. And we got to where we'd bring together. And then she took over the event planning for those trips so she could get food tours and things lined up. And it's just, it's been a great friendship. I mean, we're not only business partners, but we're great friends. Like last night, we went to the Cover Center to the play, and we had a fabulous time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Now, you guys do different types of tours. It's not just food tours, right?
We do chef tables.
Yeah, I was going to ask
which
you
is,
the
and
chef
we
table.
partnered with Town Theater. They reached out to us to do a theme related to, it was Red Velvet.
Something, the Red Velvet Cake or something like that was the play they were doing. And
Yeah.
so they wanted to
Partner
partner
with a
that
food
with some
event.
kind of
Yeah.
food event. So we set up a chef table for that.
And
On
when
Main
you say a
Street.
chef table, is there a certain chef that comes, or
Well,
is...
we have it at the restaurant, and then they do servings, and in between the chef would come out and talk about what they're serving.
They would do like 4 courses. And,
Right.
I gotcha.
And we
and
did
then we would still do the history in between the courses.
So
Right,
it
right,
was-
right.
And we actually got started with that idea during COVID when the pandemic hit, because, you couldn't do food
Right.
tours.
We had to
Right.
get creative.
Yeah, you had to get creative. So when things started loosening up, we would do that, and we could seat like if, a couple registered, they would have their own table, and then another table over there'd be another couple. And so that's kind of how we got food tours, get
Yes.
raking them back up after COVID.
Right. Now, I read somewhere something about an art walk and pub crawls.
Pub crawls.
Have y'all done those?
Well, we haven't done too many of those. Those are ones that we didn't want to stay up to midnight to monitor.
Yeah. Mhm.
But if groups come to us and they do want us to set it up, a lot of the restaurants we deal with have bars, as part of their restaurant. And we would set up specialty drink orders and that kind of thing. And, we could set it up and go, you're on your own. Here's where you can go get specials. They would know with either a ticket or a tag. So we haven't had a lot of requests for those, but if we have a client that wants to do that, we do custom events for like Adventure Caravans reached out to us. So
That's an RV touring group out of Texas, I
Right.
believe. Yeah.
and, they can have groups up to 40. And when we get big groups, what we do is we split them, get 2 tour guides, and then crisscross restaurants. So we can still do the tours, but the restaurants would have to do 2. We are expected to do a big one here in Lexington in May with Adventure Caravans. So that's exciting to bring these people in. And the other thing I wanted to mention is we get people, most of our guests are locals.
That's what's amazing. Is
And
most
so,
of the people are
they're like, I've been wanting to hear, I don't know anything about the history where I live. And so we do get a lot of supper clubs or church groups, but people or couples that just want to hear about the history. And sometimes when they come on one, they'll sign up and do other ones. We
we have some groupies that have done all of them.
Groupies. And they
And they're
kind of,
starting to recycle.
yes. It's just, to
A
eat at
fan
all those
club.
restaurants and, it's
a much more efficient or inexpensive way to eat in a lot of restaurants and get a lot of food than sitting down to one dinner.
Right. Well, in a way to experience, probably some of the best that they have. I mean, even if you go, I know I am very guilty of ordering the same thing.
Me too.
And prime time, you go.
I
yeah.
am.
I am too.
Because that's what I like. But because I haven't ventured out, so on those you would get to venture out and
Try some new things.
Right.
Yep.
Now, so I know that you said you partnered with several restaurants, so that they always know that who are some of the. I know Keg Cowboys with Brian. I know I've seen pictures of you guys in there, and
Brian actually even went on our Newberry food tour one time.
yeah.
We invite, some of the restaurant guys. I mean, they like to see what other restaurants are doing.
Well, we
so-
have openings, we always try to reach out to somebody that's been supportive of us and say, hey, are you free on this date? We've got an opening. Come go on the food tour.
Yeah, and I think the picture that I saw fell in line with his post about teaching the kids the pizza.
Wasn't that
dough.
great? Yes.
And there must have been 100 of us that said, well, what about an adult class?
Yeah.
Diane, I'm still waiting, by the way.
And I know going to Aladia's and Bodhi Thai here. What are the other restaurants here in Lexington? And then we'll talk about the others.
Mickey's Pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Private property.
Private property. They're one of our. We always start there in their courtyard.
Yeah,
They're
they
a big
were one
supporter.
of the first. In fact, on the Anglers and Appetites show we did, private property was one of the stops we made. And that's also we started to go at O'Hara's. And so Matt O'Hara, he's been a big supporter of us ever since the beginning. And then the theme on that Anglers and Appetite is one guy goes fishing on Lake Murray, catches a fish, and then they prepare it at one of the local restaurants that night. Well, Allie is prepared the fish that night. So, and so Adam has always been a big supporter of Capital City Lake Murray country. And so they had arranged that. So we set up the O'Hara and the private property. But
Nice.
And Barrios, if I'm saying that right.
Yes.
They are all on board, but they have been absolutely slammed.
they
Yes.
And so we just want to kind of let the dust settle, which maybe it won't. That's wonderful.
yeah.
But they were really excited about bringing people in. And if the restaurants, I truly believe by partnering with us, they realize they're getting amazing exposure to people because a lot of them have never been there. And then they go back. And that's what our goal is. And we pay the restaurants to cover their costs. But it's a great marketing avenue for them, and so we are really thrilled. I understand there's some new things still coming in Lexington.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what's happening with Taco Sushi. I think
Taco Sushi's supposed to be moving in, and I've actually met the franchisee person on that, and then some wine company
I think,
club or something.
right. They're going to be side by
They're
side.
going to be side by side. So they're looking forward to, I mean, that's great for Lexington.
Right.
Yes.
And I think making big changes down there at the mill.
That's a little far because we try to do
Keep walking
walk.
distance.
Mhm.
I
That's a long walk. We actually, my husband and I go to catch a lot at church on Sunday.
Right.
But that's a,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good hike. So
we did a trip to Spain and Portugal a couple of weeks ago, and it was just a fun trip. But we did a tour in
we
Barcelona.
did a food tour in Barcelona.
and he about walked us to death.
And
and,
it's like,
and after we had toured all day, so I was like, the first thing I said, we're not going to walk too far, but we did.
yeah,
And
a lot of walk.
we do have a lot of seniors that come, and we've had people in wheelchairs to come, and it's all very easy walking in between. If it rains, we get them in out of the rains, and we've had people bring their kids. They've been great. So we've experienced a lot of different kinds of groups, and so
I always laugh because when we were doing the two tours in the Vista, the owners of 1801 Grill at the time contacted us because evidently somebody went in there for dinner and said, you need to get on the 2004 food tour. So they called us. And we went in and it was just, okay. We always started at the convention center was where we would meet and start the food tour. And we decided, because they're kind of further down from all the stuff in the Vista. I said, well, they either need to be first or last. Well, we made them first.
and it was a lot.
And we realized walking back up the hill, it was uphill all the way. Okay, they're going to be last.
That's right. Yeah, we learned that the hard way.
That's funny.
We had to stop a couple of times because some were like, man, this is killing us.
Right. Now, what about in Newberry? What are some of the restaurants there?
Oh, gosh, they got great
Well,
restaurants.
Figaro Dining Room, all the Figaro hospitality group, the Figaro Dining Room, Figaro Market, Bar Figaro. In fact, Chef John Worthington over at the dining room, he's kind of our go-to guy to find out what's going on. Okay, is this going to be a good day? Blah, 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 blah.
They're wonderful.
Yeah. Stephen Doviers was on it until he finally closed. He'd been trying to retire for years, I think, but he has finally sold the restaurant. And we hear a brewery's going to come in there, but we haven't seen anything going on yet. Many Moons.
And the
Martin Street Beer Parlor, which
Have you ever heard of that?
I have not.
It's the
Bubba's. I went. It's the longest running tavern in the state of South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
And I was in Newberry from 74 to 78 and I never heard of it.
Yeah.
Hit my mic. And that's because they didn't allow women in there until 1992.
Oh, wow.
It's the best story ever.
It is. I'm like, how did I not know? I drank a lot of beer in college.
Yeah. It was kind of an unspoken, it wasn't a rule, but it was just kind of people.
But we also have Half Full Coffee and Wine Bar, and I think they're getting ready to rebrand a little bit because when they opened up in Newberry, there were no coffee places, but now Genesis Hub has opened. They're also on the food tour. So I think that will become Half Full Cafe
or something
like that. I'm
but
not
they
sure.
are wonderful. They have very good food.
Yeah.
So it's we hated when Stephen Doviers closed because that was a really
And then Layla's Place, best donuts ever. And they actually come and sell them
in
Chapin at Higher Brown on Saturday mornings.
They have a great story.
They've got a great story too.
Because we always ask the restaurant manager or chef or whoever they want to come out and talk. So that's their opportunity to tell their story, talk about their food. And, just it's really interesting stories about how they lasted this as long as they have, or how they got
I got it
started.
started. And
Yeah, it's fun, and people feel much more, they understand, and I think they feel good about going back, and we always meet at the Newberry Museum, and
Right.
it's free to go through it, so we encourage people to come so they can tour the museum, then do the food tour. But the Opera House really is just iconic there, and it carries
Right.
those restaurants.
Yes, absolutely.
So, but a beautiful little town, so we've done well there.
And now I know you we've talked about Columbia, but we did talk about all the restaurants. So what are some of the restaurants down there? And how many do y'all have on a tour, or is it different at times?
Usually 5 stops.
Five stops,
you know.
and we usually try to hold it to 14, no more than 16 people.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's
Now,
just,
this Adventure Caravan group we're going to do 4 stops, but then, but it's on a Monday, so you have to, some restaurants are open on Monday.
Sure.
Right. So you have to just, you have to work around things. But we've made arrangements for O'Hara's Bakery Cafe to give us a to-go dessert, so they have a dessert to take home.
I got
So they're getting 5
nice.
tastings. It's just, we're
Yeah.
doing it all 4 stops. And then we have done we've done 2 tastings at O'Hara's Bakery Cafe. So they'll bring over, Guinness stew from O'Hara's, and then we'll get a piece of cake and coffee.
Yeah. They're
but-
very good. They do
Yeah.
a very generous serving, and they're big supporters.
Yeah.
Well, and the restaurants in the Vista, we haven't been able to get them ramped back up since the pandemic, and I think it's mostly just staffing issues, and we went down there. I mean, the Blue Marlin. We've done several chef's table at Blue Marlin. They're one of our biggest supporters. Melon Mushroom and Old Chicago,
yeah.
both. But you can't do 2 pizza sauce.
Right. So it's one or the other.
One or the other. 1801 has new owners, so we got to go down there and talk to them.
And Boku Kitchen's on board. So
Yeah, Boku Kitchen is on board. If we just got to get back down there, and I'm still working. Until recently, I was still working full time, and I've still got 3 clients I'm working with. She did manage to get fully retired.
Well,
so-
congratulations.
I'm
I say
enjoying
I'm
it.
failing at retirement miserably.
Well, it is not overrated, so
Yeah.
you need to think about it. I can tell you.
So, what kind of you got anything big coming up? This is your 10-year anniversary,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, anything big planned for that?
We're going to try to do something. Like I said, our first food tour was in August 2014, so we'll probably look at doing some kind of special
Yes.
something.
Yeah, we're gonna do
In
something.
August.
We're still working on it. We
Yeah.
haven't, but yeah, 10 year. That's big.
That is.
We
Yeah.
actually did a food tour for the Eclipse. We had an Eclipse food tour.
Huh.
And
Yeah, and we have like Valentine tours and
Sure.
Yeah.
that kind of thing. It just kind of to go with the theme. So we'll come up with something really, really cool. It's amazing that 10 years has passed. I mean, it
I
just
can't believe it.
it
I
really
haven't
is.
aged a day.
Everybody else is getting old. Everybody else is getting old. I don't know what's going on.
So, some of the comments when I went and read y'all's reviews, they were, I mean, obviously phenomenal. But I mean, best tour ever.
Oh,
A must do. The ladies are so much fun. I mean, these were like the top comments. So y'all got some great reviews in there.
Yeah, I tell you, people are just great when they go on the tours. They want to have fun.
Sure.
And we get people that don't know each other. And what's fun about it is by the time we finish the tour in 2.5 hours, people are swapping numbers and they're talking. And it really is fun to just see it evolve into people getting to know each other. And, there's no better way than to share bread and food.
Break bread.
Break bread together, as they say. And so, yeah, it's fun. We love being with the people and making and seeing that they're enjoying it. We get a lot of enjoyment out of it. Like I said, we will not get rich on this.
No.
I know the
We
feeling.
kind of consider ourselves more ambassadors for the area
Right.
because it's not something you go into really to make money.
I mean,
Honestly.
you're in a huge tourist area and you're doing food tours, 2 a day.
Sure.
And that's a business because there are a lot of companies. The first food tour I ever did was Food Tours of New York. And obviously they do them all the time. We have been approached by a couple of other cities because, like I said, we're meeting planners, so members of the South Carolina Society of Association executives. So the CVBs, the hoteliers, all try to convince us to bring our events to their city or their hotel. And so Spartanburg CVB was the first one to reach out. And we went up there and met with them, met with all the restaurants, got it all set up, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
We had that tour scheduled for May 19th, 2020.
Right.
And so that didn't happen. And they reached back out to us now and said, okay, it's time for y'all to come back up here. Let's get this. They want us to set it up so that when they are trying to get groups to come, they have something. Well, these are some of the activities your group can do.
Which is great for us.
Yeah,
because, we
absolutely.
don't have to do as much marketing.
So we kind of went over the list of restaurants that we had planned to put on the food tour. And she said, the good news is they're all still here.
That's right.
Which is very good news.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
'Cause
right.
And then the Beaufort CBB has talked to us. I can't believe Beaufort doesn't have a food tour yet.
Huh, you would think.
You would think, great little main street. That's the whole thing. You've got to have the right situation,
Right.
so that it's walkable and doable. So, that's
I
kind of
think this business could really grow to be as big as you'd want to really do it.
Yeah.
But with me working until recently and then her still working, it's just, and it's kind of one of those things we feel like one of us needs to be there. So, not only doing the tour and the time to set it up is the time for travel time. So, it's one of those things once she retires more and we decide we want to, can devote more time to it, then we'll look at it. And most of those tours out of town are going to be custom events for groups, like, meeting groups that, will be there looking for
right now we have 2 public tours a month on a Saturday, one in Lexington, one in Newberry every month. But like I said, if we go to these towns that are further away, those are going to be like, it's just there's a group in town or I mean, we do church groups and supper clubs, and it doesn't have to be a convention kind of group.
Right.
But that's what those will be. We won't be doing like just
public tours.
And so, and on that note, so obviously companies could, call and say, hey, we're entertaining XYZ. Can you do something for us? But it could be, like you said, a bridge club or a poker club.
Right,
or
exactly.
Anybody that wanted to do a food tour, one of these, you could do that for them. So tell everybody how they can get in touch with you to set all this up and find out when your next event's on.
Okay. You go ahead, website girl.
Well, and we do have a website, and I post the dates on the website. It's 2galsfoodtours.com. And Gloria we have a Facebook page.
I am on Instagram and on Facebook.
And Gloria does most of the promotion through those channels and puts posts there. So I guess if you do Facebook, you need to like us on Facebook and
like
Instagram. I'm kind of old school. I don't know much about Instagram. And
What's the learning curve?
It's a learning curve. Yeah.
And then our cell phone numbers are on the website. So, text or call us.
And we sell the tickets ourselves. I mean, so just call us and we handle all of that.
We used to run through a ticketing company, and when COVID hit and we had to cancel tours, they didn't send us our money back. So we decided we're just taking.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
It's manageable now. So
And
we just do it
we don't
ourselves.
have to charge an up fee. We only charge an up fee if you're using a credit card, and it's just enough to cover the processing fee.
Sure,
Extra couple of bucks, But anyway, so
Well, guys, if y'all are looking for something fun to do, I've seen the pictures on Facebook. They always look like they're having a tremendous time. Give these ladies a call for your next food tour. And if you or someone you know want to be a guest on the show, you can reach me at 4, that's the number, 4, allthingslexington.com.
Thank you so much for having us, Angela.
Appreciate it. See you on a tour.
That's right. That's right.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me today, and I hope you enjoyed the show. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or know someone you'd like to see on the show, contact me at forallthingslexington.com. That's the number 4, allthingslexington.com.
For All Things Lexington has been brought to you by 2 Gals and a Fork Food Tours. And by Angela Barrett at HomeMattersSC.com. Building on what matters to you.